Beep, beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, boop. We're going back in time, counting down the top 80 songs from the greatest pop music decade in the history of human civilization, the 1980s. You're listening to the 80 of the 80s podcast with your hosts, DJ CK1 and AK47. Hola!
What are you, Dora or something? We did it!
We did it!
We did it!
We made it to number 30!
We did it!
We did it!
We did it! All right!
Hooray! We did it!
Yeah, we made it to 30, and that blows my mind because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I cannot even remember the last 10 songs.
How could you forget?
Wait, hold on, just give me a minute.
There is something about you. Lover boy.
The homes of love, a home to
You're loving the area. I had a rumor. Hey, guy. You're out of touch.
30s were some good times, huh?
Too good. We're gonna have to wear protection.
Wear a helmet, right? That's what you're referring to.
Wear a helmet.
Yes.
Yes.
Wear a helmet while you're listening to our
It's gonna get crazy.
podcast. So on today's show, we're going to talk about the song and maybe some other things related to the artist. We're going to talk a little bit about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't want to belabor the point because it's not that important to me, but it's kind of interesting.
It is interesting.
Right. And then we asked our listeners to vote on our UHM, which stands for Underrated Honorable Mention. And is it going to be Naked Eyes or INXS? You'll have to keep listening to find out.
Ooh. Anticipation.
But first, Mike Oldfield. He is the composer of our number 30 song, which is
7 Miles South.
Yeah, right.
Remember the name of the song?
You had one job.
Oh, I failed.
You had one job and you failed.
I'm sorry, I'm not a fan. 5 Miles Out. That's the song, 5 Miles Out, by Mike Oldfield. A wonderful little ditty.
I wouldn't call it a ditty, by the way.
No, it's not a ditty. To me, it sounds like he had like 5 ideas for different songs. And instead of making 5 separate songs, he just kind of mixed them all together and mashed them up and made one giant song that just sounds like a giant clusterfuck to me. I don't dig it.
This will be fun trivia. Can you guess how long is the song?
Well, I didn't necessarily mean that it's a long song. I just meant it's just too all over the place for me.
But how long do you think it was, though? If you had to guess.
10 minutes.
What? Down, lower than that, less than that.
Well, it felt like 10 minutes to me.
Yeah, it does.
5 minutes? I don't know.
Less than that.
You are wrong.
No, it's less than that. Yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's no way. 3 minutes?
It's 4 minutes and 17 seconds.
There's no way.
Yes, it is. I swear.
That felt like it sucked 10 minutes. But that's my point. And that is why I'm not really a huge fan of his stuff. There's some parts of the song that are really catchy, but it just doesn't last. It just shifts into like a whole other sound, and I just don't like the way that it's done. I'm sorry. I know there are going to be people who disagree with me, but it's just not my thing. I can't get into it.
So I wrote it down. It's
unpredictable.
Right, yeah. And much of his music is.
You go with unpredictable, I will go with clusterfuck.
It's kind of a microcosm of much of his other material, which we will get into later, maybe.
Okay.
But that's why I admire. He squeezed so many different changes and shifts. So much going on for just 4 minutes and 17 seconds. This is definitely a prog rock song in a non-prog era, because we're talking about the new wave post-punk era that was kind of a rejection of much of the prog rock excesses, and here yet we have a very unlikely single.
Okay.
I'm going to play like some segments of it and then let you know what I think.
Oh, are you going to ask what I think too?
No, you can always chime in and tell me what
All
you think.
right. It starts out good.
Got rolling drums, a very pronounced beat. You can't really hear it, but the voices are saying falling, falling.
Oh, I can't
So
hear that.
this is where he first feels like he's in danger. So the story behind this song, I think he did get his pilot license around this time. So maybe there was some unease and anxiety about him being pilot, but also he had at least one negative experience where he was in a smaller plane and the pilot was flying through a storm and he feared for his life. So
Oh, gosh.
that kind of inspired
yeah.
this.
No wonder it's kind of crazy.
When I was doing research for this song and reading the lyrics, I was on an airplane. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember we were on
yeah.
an airplane? I was like, hey, read these lyrics. And you don't want to do it?
I didn't want to do it. I don't even remember you asking me.
Yes, yeah, because you were in the seat in front of me. And I was like, here, look at this. Look at this. You
Oh, no.
get it out. of the-"
I was too busy looking out the window and just enjoying the experience of flying.
Right, because we don't really fly that much.
We don't do it that often.
Yeah, well, see, I thought I wanted to get the full experience. So I was analyzing the lyrics of the song while we were on the airplane.
Instead of looking out the window and actually enjoying being
Well, no,
in an
I did
airplane.
that. When he wrote this song, he got a glossary of aeronautical terms. And he's kind of throwing in a lot of the lingo and terminology. Right from the start, it's sounding menacing. He's using a vocoder, which is probably, for us, best known.
Kraftwerk.
Right, Kraftwerk uses a vocoder.
Kraftwerk. Are they coming up?
No. We've already discussed this. Moving on.
Ah, there's still a sofa with your name on it. Ah,
What?
really? Okay, no, hold on. Let's keep talking about
Okay.
Mike, dude. I don't know. I almost called him Oakenshield, but I think that's because I watched The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit over the weekend.
Okay. So the vocoder, which was a device, not to be confused with auto-tune. They're very much different.
Yeah, very different.
The different approaches. The vocoder takes the voice and merges it with the synthesizer to give it like a robot voice. So it's a merger. I think of auto-tune as more of a limiter. Vocoders have been around for a while. Also not to be confused with a talk box, is what like Peter Frampton used. Talk box actually sends the air from the vibration instrument into your mouth. You're projecting the sound through your mouth. That's
Got
different.
it.
This is a vocoder. No shame in using a vocoder. There's shame in using autotune, though. The robotic nature of his voice, I think it's to imitate using an air band radio, like he's calling to the traffic control. Also, because Mike Oldfield is well aware that he's not much of a singer, it's to assist with his voice. The guitars, I think, mimic the engines. They're really struggling to make it through. Got to fight against the winds. And then this is the traffic control. This is Maggie Riley. I like it when you have a contrast between maybe a rougher male voice and then
Yeah, I
a
do
more
too.
angelic voice, reassuring and calm from the traffic control. Like, you could do this.
We did it!
You can also think of her as an angelic figure.
Yeah.
And so if you remember the music video, they had a lady, it was not Maggie O'Reilly, like a blonde model or something.
See, I hate the way they do that.
Well, it depends. If you look it up now on YouTube, one of the first videos that comes up is actually a different performance of the song that's mimed that I guess was on the BBC or something. That does
Yeah.
have the Mike Oldfield band in it. The one I'm most familiar with, the promotional video,
The weird eye.
with the weird eye that's sticking in his
Yeah.
head. But it's really interesting
It
visually.
is an interesting video,
right,
but
yeah.
and I like her voice. All the stuff that I've heard from him, which isn't much in all fairness, I hear a female singer in like mostly his 80s stuff. Is that the same lady?
Yeah, basically through the 80s she was with him, and she's a very good singer.
She does have a nice
And
voice.
it's interesting too, like listening to Family Man, which was on this album. that her voice sounded very different.
She had sultry eyes, she made it perfectly plain that she was his for a price.
She was able to sing in a different manner, and so she's very
even though
versatile.
she has a good voice, I still prefer Hall & Oates' version of that song.
He said, leave me alone, I'm a family man. If you push me too far, I just might.
I don't know which one I like
Traveling
more.
Pig.
Yeah, maybe just because I liked Maggie's voice a little better than Hall's voice. You know, we did the survey results. We asked our listeners to vote on their underrated honorable mention, UHM. And that when the questions I asked, who do you think is a better singer, Daryl Hall or John Oates?
Yeah.
And guess who won? Daryl Hall.
Daryl Hall.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to keep on ragging on his voice. He's got a great voice. I just prefer Maggie's.
She wore her surprise and she reaching to me. Just hold it true. Get your eyes out. Your number anticipating you.
One thing I will add, too, is that we don't get the chorus again until the end. Again, you don't really know what to expect.
I know. In a way, I appreciate
Yeah.
that, but there's something about the way that it's done that is just, it makes my head hurt.
We're only 1 minute in.
I know, we're not going to do this through the whole song, are we?
We're only 1 minute in. Come on.
I'm going to go
1
do
minute.
some laundry. I'll be back.
We get an update on the air band.
Is that a bagpipe?
There was my Oldfield album, Almadon. I was with it like 3/4 of the way, and then suddenly the bagpipes came in. I was like, no.
I'm okay with some bagpipes,
This is a Fairlight version of the bagpipes. So I think he sampled
Okay.
bagpipes, and that's more tolerable, I think.
Don't you see my point, though, that the song is just kind of all over the place?
Yeah, and it's great. All right, we get a little bit of guitar solo. Mike Oldfield's he's a great instrumentalist. In the 70s, he played most of the instruments on his albums. He's not much of a drummer, and so I think a lot of his 70s material is lacking drums. But he's an incredible guitarist. I don't know if this is him, because there's another guitarist on this song who is, I can't remember who the name of the other guitarist is. I think it's the guy who played with 10cc. Gobotron! Who was the other guitarist on this song?
Rick Finn.
Rick Finn, yeah, he was with 10cc. Anyway, so I don't know who's doing the guitar here. I think in the video it has Mike Oldfield doing the guitar.
I mean, that would make the most sense.
I guess that's him. Okay, so now here comes the chorus, right? We're going to get the chorus, right?
Sepultura!
It's almost like a death metal
It
voice.
kind of is.
It's almost as calling back to the Tubular Bells album. Remember when I played that
Yes,
moment
the-
where he was like,
5-hour song.
it's not even an hour, so
Oh, pardon
it's
me!
48 minutes or something.
excuse
Yes.
me, moi.
Yeah, but 3/4 in, where he's doing the drunken caveman bit, It's just almost like a callback to that. But again, things are getting more dire. We were expecting another angelic chorus, but no. It's like the plane is really getting hit hard. This is the climax of the song. Where he says, the evil eye of the hurricane is coming in for the kills. And you hear Maggie's voice kind of snipped in there as well. There's a banter going back and forth between them. A layer of unease. Calms down significantly. My interpretation is he says the evil eye of the hurricane. In a hurricane, the calmest part is...
The eye of the storm.
Right, the eye of the storm. So I think right now he's in the middle of the storm. And the sun is coming out. He's like, hey, maybe I can make it through, right? He's feeling euphoria. welcome waiting. We're anticipating you'll be celebrating when you're down and breaking. Definitely, I think the weakest part of the whole song is just that line right
Everything
there.
in this song is weird.
We're anticipating you'll be
Weird.
waiting with anticipating, celebrating, and then breaking. I mean, all those long A's. It's just a really cringy rhyme.
Yep.
Okay, but he's climbing out. Well, it lifts and swells. He's getting more and more optimistic.
Yeah.
But at the end of the song, and I think this is when maybe he's going to hit the other end of the eye of the hurricane.
Just hold your head in true, got to get your
So we finally get the choruses again. But what did you hear at the end of the song?
Crash.
It sounded like the airplane was plummeting.
It did. It was crashing.
Right, to the sea, you know?
Maybe
So-
to the Oldfield.
So, do you think the plane made it through? What's your interpretation?
Well, of course it did.
You have the optimism. I think if I could talk about the movie Taxi Driver for a little bit.
Okay.
Definitely not a favorite film of mine, and it's a good film, but
It is a good film.
It's from the 70s, so I don't want to get into it too much, but I took a film class with a film professor, and the professor, he had a theory that the epilogue of Taxi Driver was an afterlife sequence. So really the taxi driver died, and the epilogue is like a dream that he has right before he died. Not like an afterlife, but an end-of-life experience. The last thing you see is that he's driving his taxi
Yeah.
with the saxophone playing into the distance. And I kind of get the same feel with this.
Yeah, I can, okay.
He's kind of maybe having an end-of-life experience before the plane goes down and then crashes to his death. There you go. Fascinating. Don't you think?
And that's not the word I would use.
What word would you use then?
Weird. I've said that word like 30 times.
Yeah, that should have been our secret word.
Yeah.
But then we would have really...
Well, we
been-
don't pick them.
Yeah, we go with Tron. Why didn't you give us... What he needs to give us a secret word. Is
Really
it too late
does.
to add a secret word?
Probably.
Oh, not this time.
Not this time. I can understand why you might dig the song, maybe. Wait, I'm trying to wrap my head around it, but I just can't get there. No, I don't like it. Sorry. I like her voice. When she comes on and is singing, it's the only moment of the song where I'm like, okay, it's okay.
But you don't like the robot voice?
Okay, maybe I like bits and pieces of it, but when you put it together, I don't like it as a whole. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I like parts of it, but I just don't like it all together. It just feels too mishmashed for me. A lot of his stuff feels like that. When I listen to a lot of his stuff, it feels like what I would imagine the mind of someone with multiple personality disorder. That's what the inside of their head looks like, or sounds like, is him, his music. It's just all over the place.
He does fit the mold of maybe a reclusive, misunderstood, eccentric
But nothing wrong with that
genius.
at all.
Genius.
Oh, that's stretching it.
So on this album, 5 Miles Out, which came out in 1982, Family Man sticks out like a sore thumb, but I still like it anyway. Much of the rest of it is mostly instrumental. I really like the song Orobidu, which is 13 minutes. I think that was probably up there in one of my top favorite Mike Oldfield songs. It starts out with a little musical box part. This time it has Maggie Riley on the vocoder. Mentioning sights you see when you're flying. That, and with the album cover, which is a beautiful album cover of a plane going through the clouds.
Yeah, it is really pretty.
I think this could have been more of a concept album. Maybe if you took off Family Man, which what is it? Or you could say maybe it's a guy hanging out at the airport lounge or something. That's the theme of that one. Unfortunately, concept albums were a bit passé at that point. It was not fashionable, which is too bad. I'm going to go through all the Oldfield's albums right now. Are you ready to hear it? No.
You're gonna have to do that without me.
Yeah, right, because you're about to fall asleep.
I'll be 5 miles out.
5 snores under the covers, right? I'll just say, I like Turbular Bells. Sorry.
Turbular?
Turbular. He was given this great opportunity when he was 19 years old, and he spilled out his guts. Richard Branson of Virgin let him do it, gave him the budget, and said, go free, make your baby, and he made it. It was called Tubular Bells.
Yeah, but when he was told he needed to put vocals in it, what did he do? He got trashed and started...
And it works! It works.
No, it doesn't.
No, because you don't.
It does not
feel,
work.
You feel like the album needs something. It needed.
It doesn't need
kick
a
in the
hyena
pants.
vomiting. It needs like someone singing.
It's entertaining.
I don't get it. I'm sorry.
Again, I like that too because he knows when he's kind of meandering and flowing back and forth to give it a little bit of a spark and a little bit of a variation.
Okay.
Right.
It's not the word I would use.
But I think, yes, a lot of his albums are too freaking long. And I say
Yes.
albums because the whole album will be a song, or one side will be an entire song. And he does need to condense it out and squish it together a bit more. And that's what he did with this song, 5 Miles Out.
And it's just too much. So maybe this song should have been a little bit... No, it shouldn't have been longer. It's not the length of it. It's the sounds in it. It's just there's too much going on for me.
But like listening to Tubular Bells, I get it. I get why it was such a big hit. It is quite an accomplishment, I think.
Is it tubular?
And tubular means like a tube, right?
Yeah, but I'm thinking like tubular, man.
Well, you know what that
Yeah.
refers to, right?
What?
A wave.
Oh, I thought that was
Folds
like
in on
lingo
itself.
for like awesome.
From surfing. It's like surfing.
I know, but I
lingo
mean, I
from-
thought it was like a surfer term for like totally tubular, man.
It is.
The point stands.
Okay. I was very naive. I thought the bells were from the intro, the first few minutes of the album Tubular Bells,
Yeah,
which I was well aware of because The Exorcist and all that. So you do like that
that
bit.
is a good one. It's really kind of haunting. It's really nice.
I'm actually going to play a clip from a Mike Oldfield documentary done by the BBC. Gobotron, you need to initiate it, but this will kind of explain why the Tubular Bells intro is compelling piece.
The notes are very simple, but there's something about the time structure that's odd.
The way it is, it's one bar 7, 1 bar 8, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
If that was just 2 simple bars of all of 8 notes each bar, the brain would switch off after a while. But because every other one trips you up, you can't not concentrate on it.
It's beautiful, but it puts you on unease. It works for The Exorcist, which he didn't write it for the movie. The director accidentally stumbled upon it and was like, this would be perfect. Because it's about a girl who's like innocent and pure and everything, and then she suddenly gets twisted into something disturbing. You walk the line. And I think it worked so well that Goblin, when they did their soundtrack for the movie Suspiria, obviously was influenced by that. Again, the childlike musical box sound
Yeah.
turned evil.
Yeah, creepy.
And then John Carpenter used, again, a similar theme.
Coincidence.
Oh yes, that is weird.
What a coinky dink.
I just have a copy of Tales from the Crypt, the graphic novel here, and it says at the bottom, forward by John Carpenter. Wow.
What a coinky dink.
Yes, it's a sign.
All right.
It's an evil sign. John Carpenter was obviously influenced when he made his theme to Halloween
Yeah.
there too. You know,
Yeah,
and again, it's
without
the,
question,
It's
yeah.
the creepy. I thought for me it sounded like, what's the name of that song? Ring Christmas Bells, The Carol of the Bells.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
called.
I think
It
it's
sounded
The
like
Carol.
that, and so I thought that's how it got the name. But that's not. The reason why is because at the end of side A of the album, they're introducing different instruments that were used, and the last one is the tubular bells. And
Tubular bells.
Got it.
And I guess they found that profound enough, and then the image on the album cover, which is the twisted tube of the bell, has become so iconic. Mike Oldfield, he uses it as his logo, and there have been multiple Tubular Bell sequels. There are like 4 different versions of it. I listened to Tubular Bells 3, the third go at it. I like that one because it had more of a beat. He said it was influenced when being in Ibiza and the dance clubs, and I thought that one was a bit stronger. A lot of his material, though, is kind of boring, believe it or not.
I believe it.
One moniker that they attached to him is New Age, and he doesn't like that, but especially his stuff from the 90s and the 00s, it's very ambient. Reminds me of Pure Moods. Remember Pure Moods?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Imagine a world where time drifts slowly. A world where music carries you away.
Enigma and Inya and all that stuff.
Experience Pure Moods, the perfect soundtrack for your way of life.
Yes.
And so a lot of his stuff feels like it fits into that, and it's just too chill for me.
Set adrift with the timeless pleasures of Tubular Bells.
But I don't know if pop music is his thing either, because he did make a few good pop songs in the 80s, and it's almost like he felt like he had to do it. And then I think he realized when the 90s came through, he's like, okay, well, I really want to do these long instrumentals because that's me.
Well, that's good that he stands true to what he wants to do as an artist, you know.
Oh, yeah, and he has the freedom to do that because of Tubular Bells was such a big hit. He can live off of that. Hurst Ridge, which was considered a sophomore slump, I thought the first half was good. The second half was boring. Almadon, which came out in 75, a lot of people say that's his best album. I get it. I think it's a companion piece to Tubular Bells, but there's a part like 3/4 of the way through where bagpipes click in, and I'm like, nope, that's it, I'm out.
Checking out at the pipes.
Checking out of the pipes. Incantations is unfortunate because it is a double album. So we're talking about, I don't know, like an hour and a half of work, but there were some really good melodies in there. He should have just taken those melodies and just squeezed them together and maybe made like one side of an album could have been Incantations.
I see. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just too freaking repetitive and it goes on and on and on and on. So supposedly Richard Branson, he sat down with Mike Oldfield and listened to this and he was like, that's it, and we're going to focus more on punk, everybody. So on his album that came out after that, which was Platinum, this is Mike Oldfield's album in 79, that one you can tell he's moving a little bit more in a pop direction. The songs have more of a beat. There is maybe a little bit of a disco influence, but I thought the songs were more melodic, a bit catchier, more interesting to me. And there's a punk parody song called Punkadoodle.
Punkadoodle!
Yeah, on it. That's him saying to Virgin, like, here's your punk song, everybody. He's trying to make fun of punk, but he can't do it because it's just not in his nature.
Yeah.
You know? What?
Are you going through every single one of those albums?
Okay, I don't have to.
Holy crap, no.
I don't have to. I'll just say...
Cutting you off.
Okay, you'll cut me off.
This is getting old.
I don't know, how many albums does he have?
He has a lot
Too
of
many,
albums.
too many. Okay, hey, you can go and explore the wonders of Mike Oldfield on your own.
Yay! I don't know what that was, but yeah,
Yes.
I agree. Of the 80s. We'll be right back after these messages.
Can't let go, can't get enough.
That an amplified human voice could shatter a glass is remarkable. That a cassette recording of that voice can shatter a glass is amazing. But after 1,000 plays, can the same cassette still shatter a glass? It can if it's totally new Memorex. Now even after 1,000 plays, reproduction so true, we ask, is it live or is it Memorex?
I love learning more about the music of the 80s.
Yeah, we both like doing that so much, we started our own podcast about it.
It's called the Permanent Record Podcast. Why don't you tell us more about it, Sarah?
We select albums from the 80s that are important to us, and we cover the making of the record, chart history, and every track.
Then we give a final review and rank the album on a scale of 1 to 100 record adapters.
We've covered artists like Depeche, Erasure, Hojo, Aha, Tears for Fears, and the Pet Shop Boys, just to name a few.
Also, we've interviewed classic acts like Men Without Hats and Information Society, along with great 80s influenced modern bands. So how much would you pay for an awesome show like this, Sarah?
Nothing. It's a podcast. You can just get it for free in your podcast app of choice.
That's true.
Guess what? Corey Haim and Corey Feldman are giving out their personal numbers. If you call 1-900-909-3700, you can listen to their private phone messages and get their personal number where you can leave them a message of your own. $2 the first minute, 45 cents each additional minute. Ask your parents before you call. 1-900-909-3700.
If you call me right now, I'll give you my private number. You call that number, and you'll hear a recording, and I'll give you my personal number if you call that, and we'll wrap.
Since Kraftwerk is woefully underrepresented in our podcast, I want to share with you my new favorite version of Pocket Calculator by my awesome, adorable nephew, Simon.
I will put it a little. Just crazy in a pussy. And then when I don't know when nobody.
And that all of our previous episodes, I've referred to our listeners very lazily as listeners. I'll say, hey, listeners.
How dare you?
Well, you know, I'd like to be more creative with it. There's one podcast I like to hear called Entrepreneur on Fire, and he refers to his listeners as Fire Nation.
Boom! Shake the room, Fire Nation.
What?
Fire Nation?
Fire Nation. He said,
okay.
We're about to light it up.
Light that spark, Fire Nation.
And learn about how to make money when you have no money.
Are you prepared to ignite?
Yes, John, like a lobster going into a pot of boiling water.
Oh my God.
So what's the point?
Our listeners, they deserve a name. You know, we have the board, we have the Gobotron, we have Harry the
Traveling Pig.
We have code names as well.
We do.
But our listeners need a name. So I was thinking, I've decided to go with Pop Kids.
Like they call us the Pop Kids, like the Pet Shop Boys song?
Right, like the Pet Shop Boys song.
They called us the Pop Kids.
Yes.
I kind of like it. I dig it.
Okay, all right. So, in our previous episode, I asked our Pop Kids to vote on the UHM, which stands for Underrated Honorable Mention.
Yeah.
Miss AK-47, your pick was?
My pick was INXS. To Look At You.
And my pick was When the Lights Go Out by Naked Eyes. And the winner is...
Naked Eyes.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. I'm a little bitter, but I can't be too bitter because I do think it's a great song. Should we turn the lights out?
No.
Why?
because I'm worried that our mic recorder, you're going to knock it. Actually, I'm going to move it a little bit. I'm going to move it because I'm worried it's not stable. It's going to fall off the bed.
But it has a little red light thingy.
I guess we could see the red light in the dark.
Yes, we could.
Yeah, we could. But I have notes. I need to see my notes.
Okay.
Right,
so the lights stay on.
Let's go through my notes. Okay, let's talk about when the lights go out. It's a song about depression and heartache.
Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious. Especially if you watch the video. You know, a chick who's in bed and doesn't want to leave the bed, and
right, she's too sad to get out of bed, I guess.
She's being taken out, and I don't know.
By who?
People.
What kind of people?
Human beings that
Human
have
beings
feelings.
come out of her cabinet.
It's like a magical wardrobe, and
They were Oompa Loompas,
They
right?
were not Oompa Loompas.
They were elves.
Kind of.
Elves.
What were they supposed to be? Some kind of like,
dwarfs, like from Snow White.
Yeah,
Seven
and
Dwarfs. So she was like, maybe it was inspired by Snow White.
It. Maybe.
I think
there were like seven of them too.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And so I
Mind
guess
blown.
she's like a Snow White.
They pick up the bed and they're trying to take her out the window. But I definitely think that it is something about depression and she's wanting to stay in, but people know that she needs to get out. But there's part of the song where she's dancing. Is that just a reflection, a reminiscence to...
Because she doesn't even really make it out the window, does she?
I don't think she does. So
No, but the guy comes and grabs her.
So was that really happening, or was that just her remembering?
It might be
what
all
happened?
a dream because
That's
she's
kind of
in
my
bed.
thing, yeah.
But
Maybe
she
it's a
seems very
dream.
happy in the dream. It's kind of wistful though. Rob Fisher and Pete Byrne, they seem kind of somber, and not only does the song, but much of the album, Burning Bridges, which came out in '83, that was the British title. The American title was just Naked Eyes. Kind of a melancholy, kind of moderate paced. It has a wistful vibe to it.
But they didn't dress the part. They kind of looked like they were heading to the country club to play tennis.
They looked preppy.
Very preppy.
That's why we called them back in the day.
That was Zach Morris's nickname on Saved by the Bell, Preppy.
Video aside, though, the song's got great synthesizer work.
Yes.
By Rob Fisher. I especially like in the second verse that choppy counter melody.
She's the kind who needs the tender touch. She never wants to compromise.
I really like Rob's work with the Fairlight synthesizer. The producer, Tony Mansfield, whose other notable production work is Aha's Hunting High-Low. He did that later after the song.
Oh.
I like the way that it is used in this. I think in the way the Fairlight, it was good when it was thought of as we're making a synthesizer music. We're doing synthesizer sound. High-tech and spacey.
How do synthesizers work anyway?
Well, I just happen to have the answer of the century.
My problem is when they start thinking of the Fairlight is, we're sampling real life sound.
Let's turn an old sound into a new sound.
How about the sound of my flugelhorn?
My biggest pet peeve of maybe the whole freaking decade is the synth horn.
I've recorded a sample of the horn sound. Now I'll just turn this. Okay, and now listen.
And I think the follow-up album that Naked Eyes had, which was Fuel for the Fire, had too many of these sampled synthesizer sounds that were fake. But I mean, granted, this song, When the Lights Go Out, has a little flute solo. So I think in some ways it can work.
It fits. What's the singer's name?
Pete Byrne.
Okay.
I was trying to get him mixed up with who's the guy from Dead or Alive?
It is Pete. It is Pete Burns.
Come on,
isn't
internet,
it?
do your thing.
Pete Burns.
Pete Burns. It's
He's Pete Byrne.
Byrne, like Mr. Burns.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Like
or is it Mr. Burns? David Byrne.
Like David
He's
Byrne.
like David
He's
Byrne.
like David Byrne.
Well,
Okay.
Pete Burns is
Okay.
Burns, like Pete is scorching him from Dead or Alive.
So I like this song mainly, I think, because of Pete Burns' voice.
Yeah.
He's a really fantastic voice, especially in this song.
Yeah, it's smooth.
It's very, very smooth.
Lights go out, she calls your name. When the lights go out, always the same. Oh, someone left out in the rain. It's always the same.
I don't want to go into the album too much. It's a great album. Burning Bridges. I prefer the British original version, the sequencing on that. The American version, which has a better cover. You know, the British cover is some Japanese photograph. I like the American cover better. So I'm holding up the record right now
You
because we
are.
actually have the vinyl.
We do.
Yes. Well, I'm so proud. It's like a modernist art
Yeah.
image, which with the creepy eyeball.
I was going to say, it's kind of creepy to me,
Yeah.
honestly.
But it gets the message across. Hey, this is Naked Eyes. Anyway, the whole album is kind of like low-key, melancholy, but very melodic. Lots of hooks. There is like always something there to remind me, which is very much a standout track.
Yeah.
Promises, Promises, which
Oh,
has
yeah.
the
Yeah,
slapping bass. But much of it's all kind of low-key. And the same thing with Pete Byrne, his voice. They're not like bombast in your face, over the top. For whatever reason, Naked Eyes were not as popular in the UK as they were in the States. And I don't know why.
Oh, that's weird.
It seemed very British to me. The When Lights Go Out was not in the UK top 40, but did barely scratch the US top 40. On the 1991 Best of Naked Eyes, which is how I really knew about them because I got it through BMG. I got their Best of. It's got pretty much every track off of their debut album, but not When the Lights Go Out. They left that off their Best of. And like,
Weird.
why? Why did they do that?
Why did they do I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Who decides what songs go on a best of compilation? You know?
Well, I mean, at least go by what the singles were.
Yeah, no, that's true.
What
Yeah.
was actually a freaking top 40 hit.
But
You
see,
have,
that
like-
makes too
they
much
only have
sense.
They only have like 3 top 40 hits, right? Always
Promises,
something to remind me. Promises, Promises, and When Lights Go Out. And they left off that. Another thing, Pete Byrne recently came out with the Naked Eyes album. Rob Fisher unfortunately died in the 90s. But Pete Byrne is like, hey, I'm going to use the Naked Eye name. It's actually, I listened to it not long ago.
It's not bad?
It's okay. It sounds like a Fortune Like Too Much Stuff, that people record things in their bedroom. And not in the studio. Right.
Like us.
Right, yeah, I guess so. That's how you do it on the cheap these days. I think it's maybe worth checking out. I can't remember much about it other than it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, so good for Pete Byrne.
I'm coming to get ya. Coming to get ya.
Okay, now you can go ahead and talk about INXS.
I don't want to spend too much time talking about
We have 3 hours.
INXS but I mean, our podcast shouldn't be about these songs. It should be about
Why not?
the main song.
It's 80s.
Okay. You are really, really good at explaining why you like songs, and I'm not very good at it. Because for me, it's about feelings, and it's difficult for me to explain feelings. But this song, it's amazing
And what the song is?
to look at you.
Got you and never speak. It's so good for me tonight.
Da, 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 da. That's it right there.
Okay, that's all you're going to say
That's
about
it. It's wonderful.
I thought you were going to... We watched the video like 5 times.
To Look At You is the loser song, but it's still a freaking fantastic song. You like it, right?
It's pretty good.
It's a good
I
song.
like it when it punches in with the guitar.
Yeah, it's a song. It's very drummy.
Well, the drums are very pronounced, and more in the early 80s you heard it. It's not like in disco music where they sounds like the drummer's in a cardboard box, as I've heard described. It's very much in the forefront of the mix.
If I had to pick a word to describe the song for me, it would be almost kind of haunting. The album that it came off of, Shaboo Shaboo, was released literally the day I was born.
Yeah.
It was made for me. It is a great album, but the song itself, the lyrics. What is a name to call for a different kind of girl? Who knows the feelings and never the words. That's me!
Yeah.
That is me!
Right, which is why I need to get a new co-host,
It's
right?
me. Sometimes you just love a song. If I ask you to describe why you love me or describe your love for me,
You're right. I
It's
can't
hard
do
to-
it.
you can't do it. It's hard.
This is why I've never written a love song about
it's
you.
very
because, yeah.
difficult to explain feelings sometimes. And for me, a lot of music is inside. It's how I feel. And this song I've always felt.
When I do the survey, I ask like, hey, is there anything else you want to say? There was a few comments. One was referred to the Naked Eyes song, Emotion in Motion. This person said it was a better song. And then someone else asked, when are you doing an AHA episode? Maybe, yeah, there's a good chance we're going to do an AHA episode.
What do you mean, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
All right.
Are we going to fight again?
Again, it has not been certified. It's not been board certified. But there's a good chance it's going to happen. It's just, in the rate we put these things out, who knows?
We'll be 60. You remember that band?
Right. What's going to be the underrated honorable mention for episode 29?
Ooh, what's yours?
I think that one of our problems as a society when it comes to art and entertainment is that there's just too much. Oh, woe is me. We are just overwhelmed with choices. We go onto Netflix or another streaming choice. We're fishing about trying to find the perfect movie to watch because there's just so many to choose from, you know?
I agree.
What we need somebody or something to make the choice for us, and then we'll be happy. So that's why in the future, instead of us picking what song we want to listen to on Spotify or something like that, the AI and the algo is going to know us so well. Algo is short for algorithm, by the way.
I figured that.
It's going to be hooked into our brains from Neuralink. It's going to pick the right song for us at the right time. It will know.
You're scaring me.
It could be a beautiful thing. Until then, what I like to do is go to thrift stores. And I see, hey, what's on sale for $1 or $2? You know, they have CDs there, right?
Yeah, they do.
Now that we're Northerners, it's not so much like Garth Brooks or Carmen or other Christian pop, you know?
Yeah.
Shania Twain, Amy Grant. There's not as much of that. But you still get a lot of, I guess, housewife.
Yanni.
From the 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
Yanni, John Tesh. I guess this is like 40, 50-something-year-olds who watched too much PBS back in the 90s and whatever they were doing as their special promotions. David Sanborn and loads of Christmas albums.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Bublé.
Michael Bubble.
Celine Dion and Rod Stewart and all that. Okay, so you sift through all of that, right?
You get the point.
But it's like you're hunting, and then occasionally something will hit you. And I was like, hey, Miami Sound Machine, $1 or $2.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a shot. Miami Sound Machine's really good. It kind of reminds me of Japanese city pop, what they call it these days. Besides the hits, there's some other good tunes on those. Sade.
Yes.
So that was a good find too. But I also found, I think it's the self-titled album from Jody Watley, the one that came out in 1987.
Mm-hmm.
We did discuss Jody Watley previously, way back when we had what was that group she was in? Shalimar. We had the Shalimar episode. But her solo album, the second track was called It's Still a Thrill, and it sounded kind of like Prince and had big beat, and so I like that one. That's my pick.
Okay.
Jody Watley.
Still a thrill.
This is going to be interesting then, because I'm going completely opposite on mine. And you know what? Our listeners might not be as into really heavy stuff, but I am going to pick Metallica 1.
I do not want to have to discuss that one. No, I shouldn't be influencing the vote. I'm not influencing the vote.
I love that song. I love the song. And the video disturbed me when I was a kid. But we don't want to talk about it too much.
We can't talk about it too much because we don't want to influence the vote. All right, so
Metallica won. And what was yours?
Jody Watley.
Still a thrill.
Still a thrill. I'm totally thrilled about this. And you can vote. The Gobotron, he's going to contabulate the web address that you can go to and make your vote. So it's going to be inserted right now.
Beep, beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, boop.
There's no unmute.
Well, in that case, just go to our website, 80ofthE80s.com, 80OFTHE80s.com. And the link to vote will be at the top of that page.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Journey into a place where time is suspended. Journey into Pure Moods 2, an all-new album. Pure emotion, pure pleasure, Pure Moods 2. Call now to get yours on cassette or compact disc. Use your credit card and call the number on the screen or send check or money order to the address shown. Rush delivery available. Call now.
Don't kid yourself. Taking drugs does mess up your life. It's not cool anymore.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jill, and I'm a lot like you. I'm a lot like you. I can move my head and arms real well. A lot like you. Hey, did you ever wonder how I always know what to say next? Well, I'm smart, just like you. When we're having a conversation, I listen to how you reply to my questions, and then I know just what to say.
Jill listens and speaks in English and French and comes with specially designed cassettes, batteries not included.
I'm a lot like you, a lot like you.
Jill by Playmates.
You live within the headlines so everyone can see. You're supporting every new cause, meeting royalty. You're another major artist on a higher plane. Do you think they'll put you in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
So, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Duran Duran.
Right.
Finally, Duran. Judas Priest.
Well, let me preface this.
Okay.
I normally don't care about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I did play the clip where The Cure was inducted because I thought that was pretty cool. It's great Depeche Mode got in and everything. Same thing with Kraftwerk, but it was during the COVID era, so they didn't get their concert piece in front of the, I don't know how many thousands. When you do award shows and they have it in an arena, and I don't know how cheap the tickets are, I don't know how many people got in there for free, but they make it look like it's a huge, mega, massive, worldwide event that everybody's watching and everybody's talking about. I don't know how much that is the case. But still, it was cool to see two of my top 10 favorite bands, Duran Duran and Judas Priest, get in there and do some performances. You can always debate about some of the picks. People who get in, like Eurythmics. I like some of their songs, but I don't.
No, I'm sorry. Dolly Parton is not rock.
Right.
What is with this? And I don't mean to sound judgy, but what is with it? And even like Eminem. Yeah, I don't think of Eminem as rock. Do you?
Maybe he samples rock sometimes.
There's such a gray line. It's just really hard to wedge things in. I mean, Dolly Parton said it herself.
Yeah, well,
you're going to put me in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I'm going to make a rock album.
She really belabored that, but it is a point to be made.
It's a good point.
There is a Country Music Hall of Fame. Is there a rap, hip-hop Hall of Fame? I don't know. I did like how Eminem, he gave off a list of his 200 favorite rappers.
Yes.
He mentioned Houdini and Fat Boys and Nucleus.
He did. He mentioned Nucleus.
Which I thought was really cool, but it's just pop music.
Yeah.
And so when Willie Nelson is on the ballot now...
Oh, geez.
And
why can't they just call it the Music Hall of Fame or something? I mean, take the rock out of it. I don't understand. It's not rock and roll. It just isn't.
And the most unrock thing of all is a whole segment devoted to a lawyer.
Oh, man. Yeah, what the hell was with that?
A lawyer.
A lawyer.
I know.
It's like, come on.
Yeah. So on the ballot next time, though, still, it would be cool to see Iron Maiden.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think who else. Oh, but then the weird thing, too, is that this is the only time I think they've ever done this. It's Joy Division / New Order. They're like going to put them in as the same entry.
I know, and there's part of me that understands that, but the other part of me kind of does think it should be separated. So I don't really know how I feel.
So when Duran Duran got in, instead it should have been Duran Duran / Power Station / Arcadia / Andy Taylor.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Why
So,
not?
speaking of The Cure, did you know there was a member of The Cure who was also in Johnny Hates Jazz? So why is it not like The Cure /
Yeah,
Johnny
no,
Hates
I didn't
Jazz?
know that.
Um,
No, with New Order, it's a little different because, I mean, I know there's a member in New Order who wasn't in Joy
Jillian
Division.
Gilbert, yeah.
But for the most part, this is a band that persevered and pushed through after their lead singer committed suicide. Like, what if they had kept their name, Joy Division?
Yeah,
What
right.
if they had never changed their name?
But that, so it's a brand. The name,
it's all about a name.
Yes,
Yeah.
but the name matters.
It does matter, but these are the same people. It's the same.
It's a title.
The same songwriters.
Mhm.
It's the same. I get it.
So we're
I
just
mean,
going
if
to
we're
keep doing
letting
all these-
Dolly Parton
what-
and Eminem in, let's just
go
let's
with
just
it. Let's
open
go
the
with
doors.
it. Yeah.
What the hell?
So again, why do I really care? Because again, I don't know how many people are really paying that much attention to it, but Kate Bush would be cool to see her get into.
Yeah, that
You know,
would be
I
really
guess this
cool.
is the year because
Stranger Things.
I don't understand anyone who's a Kate Bush fan who would poo-poo her exposure on Stranger
Oh, it's great
Things.
for her.
I thought Stranger Things season, what are we on, 4?
5,000
was boring as hell. All these emo dump of
Yeah, I didn't
people,
like it
yeah,
either.
people just sitting around talking about their feelings, little long, drawn out sequences. I thought it was terrible. The way the song was used could have been so much better. For one thing, I can't remember her name, Max. She has to listen to Kate Bush to stay alive. Why shouldn't she listen to the entire album and not just one song?
Does it have to be that one song though?
This would have made more sense for the writers to do because side B of the Kate Bush album is all about death, being faced with death and surviving and coming out alive at the end. That would have been a perfect match for the scenario. So previously, Pop Kids, I apologize to all of you because I've said that Stranger Things is a great series. I'm sorry, it's not.
No. Hold on a second. A show can be really good for a few seasons. Just because they have a bad season doesn't mean you have to write off the whole show. I guarantee
It's
you,
like Star Wars,
if we
yeah.
went in there and we sat down and we watched the first season of Stranger Things, you would say this is a great show.
Oh, yeah.
Because the first few seasons were really good. Cobra Kai is the same way for me. I did not like the last season of Cobra Kai. I just didn't. I can't say Cobra Kai is a bad show, though. They went downhill.
I guess it could be said with Pet Shop Boys have come out with a few lousy
Yeah.
albums. The last few Genesis albums are...
Yeah, bands are the
Yeah,
same.
and so I'm not going to, there's still
Yeah.
some of my favorites. You're
Yeah,
right.
no, Stranger Things
That's
is still a good
point.
show.
And like I said, Star Wars, it was not
Yeah.
ruined by all the prequels and postquels and all that garbage.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
it's just,
So,
good TV shows have bad episodes
well-
or seasons, and bands have bad albums.
this goes back to Mike Oldfield because he, with Tubular Bells, that was a lightning in the bottle moment. And since then, maybe he's had a hard time replicating that as much as he maybe has tried. And so that's the same thing with a lot of these musicians and albums and movies and TV shows. We can compartmentalize them. We can give that asterisk. I like this song.
Just hold your head true, got to get ya.
We can criticize him for doing this mosaic, this patchwork. It sounds like he's trying to force the puzzle pieces together when they won't stick. But who are you to criticize? You've never been in the studio. You don't know how hard it is to make and record music. What are we?
That's true.
We're just amateurs spouting nonsense out of our mouths.
That's so true.
So why?
Complete amateurs.
Yeah, turn it off. Delete podcast now. No, don't.
We're done.
No.
We hope you enjoyed the 80 of the 80s Music Podcast. You can download more episodes at our site, 80ofthE80s.com, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And we want to be your Facebook friend. Until the next song, this is AK-47 thanking you for your power play. Okay, I power played it.